Rugby Championship round number 3 team of the week, folks. We're going to pick 15 guys who played pretty well at the weekend. Highlight some kind of key stats or moments for them. And yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts on who you would have if you were picking a team of the week for round 3. We'll start with an All Black, believe it or not. Despite the fact that they lost, this man at loosehead prop, Ethan de Groot, proves to be a pretty useful player and seemingly getting better with every game. The stats for props never do them that much justice in terms of like round the park stuff, but the number one you got to look at that guy is his scrum, and his scrummaging was good. Remember, the Pumas didn't send a couple of their more experienced guys. Cordella's injured and Titus Chaparro didn't travel, so it was kind of young Ethan de Groot up against a young or inexperienced Pumas scrum. And I think Ethan de Groot came out pretty well on top for his end. He has 2 runs, doesn't get anywhere though, no meters. He has a pass. 3 from 5 tackles is like, could be better, but his scrummaging was good. He gives away 1 penalty, but it was for a high tackle rather than anything kind of in the engine room. And then he's got a turnover 1 to complement his otherwise pretty bloody good scrummaging shift. So I do think him and Tokiaho are starting to really look the business at the moment in that All Blacks front row, but yeah, we'll see how the selectors go with the rest of their selections for the remaining 3 games. Tight head, I ended up going with a Wallaby in Alan Alatoa. He's back in the squad, preferred over Tupou in the starting job, and I think he's playing better than Tupou at the moment. I know Tupou gets all the plaudits for his round the park stuff, but Alatoa was pretty good. I mean, the Wallabies set piece was under pressure. That's fair, but I mean, Alatoa doesn't concede any penalties. He even ends up with a try assist on this game. If you look at him, you can barely see it because the camera kind of changes and zooms out right as McCrite's getting the ball. But it's his little tip pass after he gets it from White that kind of sends McCrite over. So quick hands from him. 4 from 4 tackles, 4 passes. But yeah, overall pretty good shift. The Fords muscled up as best they could against the big Springbok pack. I know Malherbe also got on top at some points, but that was more up against Slipper, who conceded like 5 penalties or something. Alatoa coming away with none is yeah, is a pretty good shift from him. Maybe could have liked a bit more minutes, but they wanted to bring Tupou on for the impact. I think they looked better when Alatoa was on the pitch. So there's your props. And Argentinian in the hooker in Julian Montoya, the captain. I've been saying for at least a good 18 months, this guy's one of the best hookers in the world. I think people are catching up a little bit with that, maybe especially because the Pumas are winning. Because even when they were losing, Montoya was looking good. 2 runs, 4 meters, and a pass is not exactly that flash with ball and hand stuff. And he does have 1 line out that goes askew, which ends up directly in an All Blacks try. I think he just threw it a bit high, that one. But the line out overall is pretty good. It's 10 from 12. And he plays like 79 minutes. I'm pretty sure they're either all him or all but one of him. So, yeah, the lineup for the most part was operating pretty well. 18 from 20 tackles is a massive shift. 2 turnovers, 1. Like one of them is a direct 3 points when I think he turns over Will Jordan and then Boffelli just knocks it over. So, key leader in that defensive shift. He plays 79 minutes. He tackles the house down. He's a threat at the breakdown. He does have a turnover conceded, which should be the long line-out throw, and 1 penalty conceded as well. But overall, man, the guy was pretty phenomenal. He's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, Tokiaho was good as well for the All Blacks. Bauer and Malherbe, like I mentioned, scrum times as well. But ultimately, those are my 3 guys for the front row for the team of the week. Locks. I ended up going with one of the Springboks in Lut Diaka. He had a pretty good shift in what was a pretty disappointing effort from the Springbok boys. 7 runs for 37 meters is certainly more than we're used to seeing from Big Lut, but he'll take that. A clean break and a defender beaten among that as well. When he got into space, it was absolutely glorious thing to see. 7 passes, so he loves getting his hand on the pill, and he is very much the king of the air, man. 6 line-out wins and 2 line-out steals. The Wallabies line-out was at absolute 6s and 7s, and a large part of it is this guy just getting up to disrupt. He has 10 from 12 tackles, so he is first equal alongside Kolisi as the top Springbok tacklers. I mean, he does have a couple of turnovers and penalties conceded, but overall, like I mentioned, there's not that many Springbok guys in that game that you'd be, really readily singing the praises of that heavily, but I still think Diaka, I think he looked pretty good, as I said, in a losing shift. The other lock I went with, and I do believe I've picked him every week thus far. Thomas Lavanini is just in the form of his life. He's keeping his nose clean, which I think I've mentioned every single time. He's not giving away dumb penalties, and he's just doing his core role really, really, really well. And his work rate is phenomenal. 17 from 17 tackles this week is the top lock in terms of tackles by far. 9 carries is the first equal ball carrier for Argentina in that game. I think alongside Matera, I think they both had 9 carries. He only makes 10 meters, but it's just that work rate. He's just always there. He's just always an option for Bertrand to find, and he's largely, at least, getting 1 meter forward. He's not going backwards for the most part. He's got a pass. He's got 2 turnovers, 1. He concedes 1 penalty, which I think was for not rolling away. But ultimately, Lavanini, smashing rucks, cleaning out. I mean, honestly, the guy is just in phenomenal form, and I'm loving seeing every minute of it. So there's your type 5. Pretty balanced thus far. We've got South Africans, New Zealanders, Australians, and Argentinians already on the board. Loose forwards, for your blind side, I had to go with big Marcus Kremer. And he's only got one stat that absolutely stands out, and that is his tackles. 26 out of 27 tackles is a Herculean shift from big Marcus Kremer. And he's another guy who's kind of had his issues in the past. He does have 3 penalties conceded, but he was just being absolutely physical all day long for the Argentinians. How many times did you see All Blacks ball carriers just being pushed back by big Argentinian bodies? Kremer, and then somebody else would jump over and get the turnover because Kremer's kind of pushed them backwards in a dominant tackle, right? That's just what he was doing all day. I mean, he did it to Haveli within the first, 15 minutes of the game. Haveli just ends up going backwards, and it happens multiple times. He has 2 runs, 3 meters, doesn't pass, so he's not doing that much ball in hand. It's just defensively getting in there and doing the not flashy stuff, but doing it phenomenally well. One of the big bodies really causing havoc for the All Blacks, and we will see if he's able to get that kind of same dominance next week. But they'll certainly know all about him. After that one, open side, I had to go with the Aussie double try scorer, Fraser McReight. He's just quietly having a pretty good stint as well, isn't he? Like, there's one thing with him behind Michael Hooper is they never got any minutes. He's like a really classy player that needed some test time. And it's sad to see Michael Hooper out of the game. We want to see him back. But even if Michael Hooper retired tomorrow, he'd still go down, as one of the best Aussie rugby players, at least of my generation. But Michael Hooper's absence has meant that Fraser McReight has been absolutely able to take his chance and build a bit of depth for Australia really, really well. I mean, 2 tries. And essentially, he gets tries by just always being an option. Even the times when he doesn't get the ball, and he wears that scrum cap, so he's quite distinctive. He's just always floating around. Like when Marika Korombete scores his try, guess who's like right behind him in case he needs someone to pass to? Fraser McReight. He's just always there. His work rate is huge. So 2 tries, 7 runs, 15 meters, beats a defender. He has 2 passes. He makes his tackles 5 from 5. He wins a turnover, which he's pretty good at as well. He does concede 1 penalty, but I mean, if you just watch the game, he's just always, always, always there. He runs all day long, so it's exactly what you want from your open side. And he's taken this opportunity with 2 hands for sure. Number 8, I ended up going with another Springbok actually, in Quokka Smith, and just quietly, he's come off the bench and added a fair bit of impact, I think, in every game he's played, isn't he? He's been really, really quite good, adding a lot of energy to that Springbok pack. And I don't know if he's going to get a start at any point, but I think he's playing himself into some pretty good form. Obviously, he caps it off with 2 tries. One of them is a great support line similar to what McReight's doing. The other one is just power. not that big a guy, but he powers over from close range with Malcolm Marks, giving him a bit of an assist at the back. But 7 runs for 57 metres, I think is the second best run metre guy for the Springboks in that game. And he's a substitute forward. I think Willemse might have had more by like 1 metre. But Kwaka Smith, very, very busy on the ball carries. He's got a clean break. He's got a defender beaten. He's got 2 passes. He makes his tackles 4 from 4 when called upon. He wins a turnover. Hassel at the breakdown as well. He does concede a couple of penalties. I think one of them not releasing. He's kind of marginal. He just needs to give a little bit of a gap between his tackle and his pilfer. But yeah, ultimately Kwaka Smith, and as said, like with Diaka in a losing shift, was certainly one of the positives. And maybe as the Aussie guys tired a bit or took their foot off the gas, he was right there to take that opportunity for him. So there's your 4-pack. And yeah, we'll move on to the backs, and the Argentinian theme continues with Gonzalo Bertranu at number 9. I think that's 2 weeks in a row I've picked that guy as well. And they've been rotating a few different halfbacks with Argentina, but Bertranu for mine is the best of the bunch at the moment. He's in great form. 3 runs, 8 metres, and a defender beaten is okay when he did decide to take the ball to the line, but it's mostly his quick service and passing game. Like, how many times did the All Blacks guys get caught offside? And how often was it because Bertranu was just giving Carreras quick service? I mean, Carreras with his boot was also keeping the All Blacks guys pretty busy and his carries, but Bertranu, man, 43 passes, 2 kicks, makes 7 from 7 tackles, so pretty good shift from the halfback, man. He's doing really well. Like, he's just doing, that's his fundamentals. He's not doing anything too flashy, like he's not sniping that much, but he can do it. He's leaving most of the kicking to Carreras, which is the way they play. He's making his tackles, and yeah, just pure, good, quick service. And the All Blacks defensive line getting pinged time and time again. But I haven't gone with Carreras, despite talking him up. At 10, I went with Noah Lolacio from the Wallabies. I mean, he had a pretty good game. I've been a little bit disappointed with Rennie, like calling back Bernard Foley and dropping James O'Connor in Quade Cooper's absence instead of giving this guy more time, but he did end up giving him more time, so I can't be unhappy. He didn't just chuck Bernard Foley in the deep end and just kind of ignore Lolacio. Lolacio, I think, has got bags of potential. He's only like 22 years old, man. He's got heaps of potential if he's given more time, and he showed what he can do in this game. 4 runs for 29 metres, a clean break and a defender beaten. That's dangerous enough for your number 10. I mean, he gets that clean break in the build-up to McCright's second try, right? The inside ball, when they change direction, back to Slipper, and then Lolacio through the gap. So he's got a bit of gas. 11 passes and a couple of try assists. I think for the Corumbete try, and then, yeah, for the second McCright try, right? So yeah, he's got a hand in 2 of the 3 tries, 3 kicks, and he kicks most of his goals. He just misses the 1-2 conversions, 2 penalties. I mean, 3 from 6 tackles is not the best numbers. That's an area he would look to improve. I can't remember if one of them was it Vincent Koch going through to set up Kwaka Smith? But, you know, he doesn't turn over any ball. Pretty safe pair of hands in that game and just pulled the strings really well. So, yeah, pretty happy with Lolacio there. I hope he gets a chance next week as well. Into the midfield, I went with another Puma in Matthias Orlando. Really, really busy effort from this guy as well. He finishes the game with 8 runs and 24 metres, which is among the highest because you know, the Pumas guys didn't get that much ball to run, but he beats 2 defenders as well. He's got a couple of passes, but defensively, man, 16 from 17 tackles is just a massive shift and kept the All Blacks really quiet at home. He does win a turnover, which was one. It was near the end of the game when they were under a heap of pressure, and he gets in there and wins a turnover to just absolutely shut what the All Blacks had going down. He did concede a penalty. I think it was a high tackle right at the end, though, which if the All Blacks had scored would have been really costly. Was it the one where they went for the last line out? But either way, it was one of those couple of penalties the All Blacks had at the end. One of those was Orlando, but overall, his impact on the game, the veteran was really, really solid. So pleased for him. And then I went for another Wallaby in Len Ekitau at 13. Didn't get that much in the way of pure meterage, but certainly one of the most dangerous ball carriers of the week. Like 6 runs, 5 defenders beaten, and a clean break. that's a pretty good return. He only passes the once, and sometimes it's good that he doesn't necessarily throw the 50-50 pass when he has gotten over the advantage line. So, you know, he's not risking kind of undoing that good work. And I mean, if you look at the Coram try, who gets the ball over the advantage line right one phase before that? It's Len Ikitau. Punches the ball up. That gets the Springbok defence having to retreat back. Ball out left, and Marika just does pull out, all ends up. So Ikitau kind of in the build-up, really good stuff from him. A pass, like I mentioned, 3 from 5 tackles is not great. He has a kick, he's got a penalty conceded, a turnover conceded, but yeah, overall, I thought his impact on the game, ball in hand, particularly good, especially in the absence of Karevi. They can use someone busting some tackles in that Aussie midfield. Outside backs. I had to go with Big Marika, didn't I? Marika Korombeni, goodness gracious me, he had one of his games of a lifetime, didn't he? He's just, I mean, that tackle. Whether you thought it was a tackle or a shoulder charge, where he stops Mpimpi, I mean, just the determination and the speed to get across and even get there was miraculous in itself. Like, unbelievable. He does get a try, like I said, he beats Pollard, all ends up. 5 runs for 10 metres. 10 metres is not exactly the most he'll run ball in hand any one game. Certainly ran a lot more than 10 to make that covering tackle, but 2 defenders beaten. He's got a pass and a kick. I think he had the kick under duress, but he managed to get it away. 5 from 5 tackles and 2 turnovers, 1. So really, really big impact on the game from Korombeni. I don't know what happens if Mpimpi ends up scoring that try. Remember, they were a man down, and Korombeni with the determination to get across. So, yeah, you won't see many bigger shifts than that one, defensively and ball in hand. Really, really big unit. Argentinian, it's kind of hard to go past Emiliano Boffelli. How many points did he get? Like 20? They scored 25, many of them from Emiliano Boffelli's boot. And his boot's key because he kicked it 100%. People have pointed out the fact that they've got Contepomi on the coaching crew now. Maybe that is a factor. Because I looked at the stats that I kept last year. I think the Argentinians collectively, but most of it's Boffelli, were at like 58% last year from the tee. Whereas last night he was at 100, and some of those were some pretty tricky kicks. Some of them were distant, some of them angle, some of them both. And he just did really, really well. A run, 4 metres and a clean break is not exactly the biggest impact ball in hand. 1 pass. That 1 pass, I think, is that one that almost goes to Carreras. Like when Carreras puts a little dink through and Povelli gets it back infield. Could have been something, but ended up being nothing. He's got 3 from 4 tackles. I think the missed one is the ankle tap, maybe on Caleb Clark. He almost got him for the try from the line out for the All Blacks, but not quite. But yeah, 6 penalties in the conversion, 20 points. And it's his hand competing for that restart, which sets up the Juan Martin Gonzalez try. So the guy was just involved in absolutely everything. Massive shift from Emiliano. And then the last one, I ended up going, fullback was kind of a tough one, but I went with Geordie Barrett. So we bookend it with All Blacks. Again, like I said with the Springboks guys, it's hard to get too excited about the losing shift that the All Blacks had, but Geordie Barrett, I think, was pretty secure. I don't remember him dropping any high ball. He's got 8 runs for 63 metres. Fullbacks usually get pretty decent returns on their runs, but he does all right. He's got a clean break and a defender beaten, which I think helps sets up the Clark try. Remember, he beats his man and then, fires that final ball to Caleb Clark, so he sets up a try assist. So he's got try assist there. He does miss that 1 long distance penalty. I'm surprised they called for the penalty at that point, to be honest. But yeah, he's got 6 kicks in play, 1 tackle from 1, which I think is the tackle on Moroni when they had some turnover ball, the Argentinians. So really good covering tackle when the All Blacks were kind of having to scramble from the turnover. But yeah, just pretty safe pair of hands. And as I said, in a otherwise kind of lackluster effort from the All Blacks, thought Geordie Barrett was kind of pretty secure. Other guys, Kolisi made a bunch of tackles for the Boks. Matera and Juan Martin Gonzalez and the forwards for the Pumas were phenomenal as well. Carreras pulled the strings really, really well. I mentioned Tokiaho. But yeah, you could certainly pick a few other guys. But these are the ones I went for. You guys let me know your thoughts. If you're picking a team of the week, who would you have in? Who would you have out? And perhaps the reasons why. What did they do that was so good or so bad? But anyway, you guys take care. Let me know your thoughts. If you want jerseys, Love Rugby's got heaps of jerseys. I bought loads of them from before. I always forget to tell you guys about them. But yeah, Love Rugby. Check out the link in the description. Check the sales section. That's my kind of go-to. But yeah, if you can find a team there, they'll ship it to you kind of quick, smart. So yeah, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.